Welcome back, everybody, and indeed it is good to be back after a week off. Dan had a well-deserved vacation, of course, down at the land of the mouse. So before we do our fitness Q&A and all that good stuff, of course, we want to hear about it. Dan, somebody was wondering if you would have your Mickey ears on. I guess you left
No,
those,
no, but I
forgot
have
those
a
on the
whole
plane.
bunch. I got a whole bunch of Sword in the Stone pins.
Oh, very cool.
And some other stuff. But yeah, it was wonderful. And I apologize. Generally I make these, but it was a timing issue last week. California Pacific time, and it was one of those few times that I just couldn't make the math work. I've done
Very understandable, Dan.
I've
Just
done
hope you had a
workshops
great
with
time.
you
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
Ireland, England, podcasts, Ireland, England, hell, Australia. Yeah, we make it work. We
make it work. Somebody said that we're a little tiny, so I just blew up the video a little bit. It looks like our streaming software has integrated some new features, so hopefully you guys
hey, we have new features today, folks.
Yeah,
Always updating for you. Okay.
For all of you.
It was great. It was great. We did this thing on Wednesday, took this tour, and it was just fabulous. It was I get 20 to 25,000 steps every day. And of course, I try to do the basics of, nutrition. It's hard, but I came home and I weighed 199, so I can't complain. I mean,
nice.
A week of vacation and come back, basically in your your wheelhouse. That's not bad. I've an interesting little side note. It's just bothering me, but so on my podcast, Ozzy put a clip up that you don't need that says about something I said about cardio after 55. Well, it's really obvious. No one actually listens to what I say. I feel like I'm teaching high school again. That's not what I said. What I said was you need to do your homework. Mr. John said I'm an axe murderer. No, I said you need to do your homework. So it was interesting because everybody who showed up to make comments, I'm 78 years old and I run 20 miles a day and my heart rate is 38. When you're in Disneyland, man, I'll tell you this, of the number of people I saw who I could say exercise would not be high. The number of people my age in motorized carts stunned me, literally stunned me. I just began to notice that. And listen, I'm not really I judge people by the depth of their squat, and that's about it.
But, right. Yeah. You got to have some metric. Yeah.
But, honestly, when all these joggers and runners and all these cardio people are getting on me, it's like, where do you live where everybody gets up every morning and runs 10K? I told my daughter about it, and she said, it's called flexing, Dad. It's when you go online and you say you disagree with everybody because you have your nutrition dialed in perfectly. You have your aerobics dialed in. You have your, got to tell you, folks, I don't know where you all live, but where I live, I'm the only person in the neighborhood who trains. I don't know where you all live, but when I go to the mall, I'm the only person who's getting Social Security that can do a lot of things. I will say at the senior center, a lot of my friends do machines for weight training, and they walk, and those people are doing fine. I just don't see these people who are doing marathons and Olympic lifting. I don't see them. So
they are few, and obviously, we have a bit of a selection effect too, being in fitness communities, but out in the real wide world, Dan. I mean, that's true, right? I mean, it's not even just true by hunch. We know it just is statistically true as well. So,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, and I'm not. I really am. I wouldn't even say I'm angry. I'm more like. Okay, and then we got a point. I see runners all the time here in the UK. Again, there's a bias. I can't remember what is it, proximity bias or whatever. It's like I used to tell I always told my athletes, you sit in a classroom every day with the smartest, healthiest, most in tune people you ever meet in your life, and you won't date any of them. But once you graduate from high school or college, you'll notice that when you're around a college classroom, you see beautiful girls all day long. And when you get out there into the real world, things change. Yeah. So I get you see people jogging all the time. I get it. Everyone in the UK are the healthiest people I've ever met. Right?
So I was sorry, Dan. What was I didn't see that video clip or whatever. What's the wider? What's okay?
Just,
don't. Yep.
A guy asked me a very good question,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, when someone asks me a question that I try to really answer with almost an entire program for them on my. So these my clips are usually about 10 minutes, and we also know that most people only listen for about 3, so they don't even get through the question before they start commenting. Yeah.
Yeah. Typical online interaction. Always of a certain quality, but except for you guys, of course, here on the live stream, always good. Anthony says, I'm seeing double with the YouTube live stream. I got 2 times the notification. Let us know if something looks weird, guys, because it looks different on our end because it's showing like a portrait and a landscape mode, and I just figured that like if you have your phone tilted one way or the other, it would adjust accordingly. But you should not be seeing double of us. That would be unfortunate. But anyways, yeah,
twice as much fun. Yes.
Yeah. So if something's weird's going on, you gotta let us know because we don't necessarily see what you guys see. But hopefully, all the audio is coming through fine.
Do you remember that? You guys might be too young for the early internet, where what you see is what you get was a huge. There was a letter, what you Wuzzy Woo or something like that. When you first did your you did not know what you were going to get until I used to have to call somebody to say, will you dial up my website to tell me if it looks right? You couldn't see your own work, or you could come and then later you could, that's it. Thank you, Justin. WYSIWYG. Yeah. WYSIWYG. And you, and finally there was this great innovation where you could actually see what you were doing. And, on what I was seeing on my screen is what Pat Flynn was seeing on his screen.
That's funny.
Folks,
yeah.
That was huge.
Mm-hmm.
It was so much easier. Funny. Okay, enough.
Yeah, awesome. Well, a little bit before my time, but probably not much. Okay, let's do some questions here. Let's get some good stuff in here. All right, JB says, Dan, I gather that you use the term bodybuilding and hypertrophy differently than most fitness influencers. Can you give us your working definition of both words and contrast that with their? I guess that means the influencers' definitions, Dan.
Well,
is that right?
Hypertrophy, there's at least 2 kinds, and I wouldn't be surprised if, well after my death, we laugh at the fact that I said there was 2. Oh, there's 10 kinds, and then 20 years later, there's only 1 kind. Hypertrophy is one of 2 things, either myofibria, which is the muscles themselves increase, or the sarcoplasmic. Sorry, guys, I haven't.
Sarcoplasmic, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is the swelling of the tissues.
Yeah,
okay.
You either get more or you get bigger. That's the easiest thing.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Either the balloon swells or the structure inside this balloon swells. Think of a zeppelin or a blimp. Either you can add more hydrogen or helium, I hope, or you can add more structures. Okay. So that is just what hypertrophy is. And we all know that everybody has hypertrophy. If you ever get a chance to go to that really weird thing that exhibit where they take all the skin off of humans, I can't go back to that. The hip replacement, but you'll notice when you strip the skin and fat off people, most people, the people in those exhibits look pretty good. They look. So bodybuilding is that. So you take this concept of hypertrophy, and bodybuilding is when you then take it into more the artistic mode and say, let's add some here and let's take away some there. Mm-hmm. That would just be and I think you're asking a good question. You're asking me to cut the same thing into 2 parts. The problem I think most people will find with bodybuilding is if you put on, let's say, 3, 4, 5, 6 pounds of lean body mass, absolute lean body mass, you look significantly different. If you lose, if you go from 40% body fat to 10% body fat and maintain that lean body mass, it's stunning how you'll look. So my point is this: is losing body fat actually the best thing, huh? Right, people, everyone listening, don't get fat in the first place. Don't get fat in the first place. Don't get fat. But if you lose body fat and maintain lean body mass, you'll probably do more for your bodybuilding look than all the time you'll spend in the weight room, because it's much. Patrick, help me what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say it might be easier to, well, it's always easier not to lose fat, but adding lean body mass is really hard. And so if you kind of strip away, for most people, if they want to get better, it's probably easier to strip off some fat, which is hard to do, than to put on 20 pounds of lean body mass. Mm-hmm. Outside of that wonderful window that I had, let me finish my point. When I first met Dick Notmeyer and put on 40 pounds in 4 months, I hit that puberty window where my body was just ready to explode. Is that good enough?
Yeah, so I like that. I think it's important because sometimes people think if you're training for hypertrophy or bodybuilding, and that's definitely not necessarily the case. Bodybuilding is a sport. It's kind of a weird thing between a sport and an art, right? Where you're trying to go for a certain aesthetic so it involves hypertrophy training, of course, but it also involves considerations of proportion and all sorts of other things, where somebody might just want to train hypertrophy without any regard for any of that. They just want to increase the engine so they have better athletic performance, right? So, it's important not to conflate these two. While hypertrophy training is a necessary condition for bodybuilding, it's not the only thing. It's not sufficient, right? And hypertrophy work. Sometimes people think if you're doing hypertrophy, you're not doing strength or athletic, and that's not true either, because any form of strength training is going to have some hypertrophic effects for sure, even if you're not doing it in a sort of bodybuilding style. Yeah.
And that dork Olympics about arguing, what's the best rep range for hypertrophy? I just like, oh God. If you do singles in the deadlift with 800 pounds, say 5 singles with 800 pounds, okay, 400 kilos, you're going to really build a lot of muscle fiber.
You will.
And if you do sets of 25 in the leg extension, leg curl, leg press, machine curl, you're going to build muscle fiber. All rep ranges work. The mistake I think we run into, same idea on the nutrition side, is this idea of best. We've known since DeLorme's work that the best is 3 sets of 8, or however you interpret DeLorme. But doing 3 sets of 8, 3 days a week, the rest of your life, if you can do that, good for you. I mean, that it's impressive. But most of us just need a little love. I kind of bring up one point.
Yep.
I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but as I was packing in Disneyland, I got a call from Dick Notmeyer's son, Chuck. Dick isn't doing well, and we thought we would lose him on Friday or Saturday, but he's home, he's comfortable, and he's on I think it's called palliative care. So probably, Pat, I'll even send a note out to you.
Yeah, please do. I'm very sorry to hear that, Dan. We know he's an extremely important person in your life. Yeah.
He the fact that he's with a picture of my mom and dad will tell you how important. But Dick Notmeyer is the guy that I met at the Sports Palace. I weighed 162. He took me under his wing, and he changed my life. And this week's Wandering Weights, I have a little thing from 40 years with the whistle. But I'll next week I'll write something a little bit. Yeah, thank you, Justin. Okay,
yeah, that'll be good. Well, thank you for sharing, Dan.
Yeah, he's in his 90s and he's had a wonderful life, but it doesn't change the fact
it's always tough. It's always
Coach
tough.
Lahadi, Coach Mon, Dick Notmeyer, Mom and Dad, my brother. You hit a certain age, and for those of you over a certain age, y'all know what I'm talking about. It's like when you pick up the phone, it's that moonstruck line. Who died?
Yep. Yep. All right, moving on here. Schmau says, Pat, I went back to one of your old episodes and I forgot how simple and genius your meal replacement shakes are. Well, I don't want to take it's not like I invented those. I've been a proponent of using that, but a little bit of background is, it was one of the first nutritional strategies that kind of just worked for me very practically. When I was a teenager, without really knowing a whole lot about anything, I just started grabbing my mom's Slim Fasts, right? I would just like take, because she wasn't drinking them, all right? So I would take them from I would have one for breakfast. That it was, my friends made fun of me, of course, for drinking a Slim Fast, but you know what? I was losing weight. And so I'd have them for lunch, and not like I totally recommend Slim Fast, but you know what? And then years later, as I got more serious into it, you realize there's actually a really significant pool of literature on this. And the technical term they call it is partial meal replacement therapy or strategic meal replacement therapy. And what you find in nutrition is almost all diets come out in a wash when you fix calories and protein. But this is one of the dietary strategies that consistently does really well for people. And it makes sense. When you just think about it, one is it helps get your protein numbers up easily. It helps to control hunger and combat cravings. And it's above anything else, it's just convenient, right? Even as a teenager, I wasn't going to sit down and make a big salad, but grabbing a Slim Fast was super easy and it's affordable. So I became a big, advocate of that. I still am. I typically still have a shake sometimes too, in replace of my meat. And it's not Slim Fast anymore, but I'll get, they get the veggie and fruit mixes from Costco and throw some avocado in there and some, a good protein powder. You're good to go. So yeah, big proponent of that. Have kind of accidentally stumbled into it as a sort of successful thing, and then realized, oh wow, there's really something behind that. Let's see if we can get this tool out to other people. So there you go. Yep.
And I just like to add, Costco has this product. I can go in the room over there and pull one out, but it's the coffee protein, and it's 30 grams of protein. It's coffee, and it's 30 grams of protein at 130 calories. Of course, protein per gram has four calories, so 120 grams of protein, calories from protein, and then 10 extra. But I drink, when I'm drinking 2 of those a day, that's 60 grams of protein. Now, does my body take it and instantly pour it into my bicep?
Absolutely.
In my case, yes. But so if you are trying to get, on paper, I'm supposed to get at my body weight. If you use so this is where I keep my Tufts newsletters. If you read the Tufts newsletters, they recommend 0.82 grams of protein a day per pound. Okay, I weigh 199 this morning. I know I look fat. I know. Just say it. Just say it, Patrick. Let's get through it.
I won't say.
So I'm supposed to be 160, 162 grams. But I got to tell you, folks, and I don't know how many of you would agree with me. Justin mentioned 50 grams of protein for breakfast, which honestly, Justin, I think I'm about to. That's about where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
But to go in 2 meals a day ish, that's kind of where I'm at. To get to 160 grams of protein, if the Tufts numbers, if the research is correct, and I sometimes like to think that, even as that extra easy 60, and it's only 260 calories. So that's the wonders of all that. That's the joy of some of these things.
Yeah.
That sometimes something as simple as a meal replacement shake might have more protein per calories than say a normal meal. So I certainly support it. And, if you're a paleo person, you're probably going to come in and go, there are no hunter-gatherers who've ever had protein drinks. And we also have learned from the hunter-gatherers that
animal blood.
They also eat, 200, 300, 400 grams of protein as soon as they can after a kill, and then they sit around for a couple of days and then repeat. It's all about trends. Okay.
One little other strategy I think is just kind of good. It's just a simple but not infallible or perfect rule. And I ran into this again the other day. Is I think if you want to just kind of simple way to start moving towards weight loss, just replace 1 or 2 meals a day with one of those shakes. If you want to start trying to gain more, then add a shake to at least 2 meals, but have it after the meal. And this is because pour the water on the rocks type of thing. This happened the other day. I said had a good week of training. I was like, I need to up my calories. So told Christine I'll have my eggs and a shake for breakfast. But the problem is I had the shake first, and I was too full to eat the eggs. So that's how it works. That's how it works. So you have to eat the food first and then dump the shake on top, right? But I was like, this is why I recommend having the shake in place of the meal if you want to do that. But if you want to try to get more calories in, you got to put the liquid on top of the food, not the other way around, right? Yeah.
It is funny. I remember when I first experimented with it was terrible. I'm not going to mention the brand, but basically it was a bucket of sugar with a little bit of soy protein.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. Be careful.
And I mean, I would drink that. I couldn't eat meals. I was losing weight on a weight gain program. Fortunately, and that's when I was in high school and college, the protein shakes were so bad. They were basically worthless. It was usually soy. It was always sugar. And that's where all the calories. They were called weight gain 5,000 and stuff like that. But it was just sugar and soy. Yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping that the modern ones are better. But folks, it is with the supplement business. You never know.
You never know. But anyways, I think that's a smart way to go about it. And somebody's talking about Banter Monkey's talking about some sort of biscuit flavored Slim Fast. First off, I didn't even know Slim Fast was still around, so that's cool. I always remember they had a really weird aftertaste, but they were tasty enough back in my younger years that I was just.
Well, they had a strawberry one that right? Didn't they have a strawberry one?
Yeah, I remember there's the vanilla chocolate strawberry where like this chocolate was just
taste
weird.
it, and for like days you couldn't.
Yeah, it just wouldn't get out of your mouth. Yeah. So yeah, I don't do the Slim Fast anymore, but that started moving me in a direction that I think was ultimately very positive, and has been a strategy I've literally used for more years than I care to even admit right now. So it's definitely sustainable. All right, let's take a few more here. Good stuff.
Yeah, Pat has to leave early today, folks.
Yes, indeed. All right, Edward says, good morning, y'all. Last week I was doing for me a heavy day of power clean and push press, and my left knee clicked inwards, but it's better now. Would a squat clean with soft knees be better on the knees?
Edward, we can't answer that question. That really is the clicking and stuff like that. It could really mean a million things. I have shoulder clicks all the time, and my buddy Mike is a physical therapist at PT. I have to always say that before you say personal trainer, physical therapist. That's why you always need to differentiate. And he'll just say, well, this is because of this, and this, and there's always like a multifactorial reason for it. I'm not sure adding a squat clean. I don't know what your technique is like, but on the clicking, it could be nothing, or it could be a sign that you've got some damage. Pat, you go ahead.
Yeah, that's it. Stuff like this just needs a proper in-person assessment. It's just kind of wild speculation at this point, which would be not the most responsible thing.
Yeah, so, if your knee is clicking on power cleans, that range of motion, I mean, it could be just catching the load. So I'm just saying, it could be something it just is something that happened that one time, or it could be something that will cause me to have to come to your hospital and provide you with my own blood.
Yeah. All right, let's take this one. Dave here says, I want to ask why I lost 6 kilograms in a month despite not training during the month, but my diet was the same. He just clocked out and because he lost discipline, but he lost weight too, Dan. So explain that. What's going on?
That's just, I mean, you're looking at you're looking on a blip. You need more information. Is this something? I mean, you're going to do this another month and lose another 6 kilos. You keep that up for a couple of months or a year, and we won't even be able to find you.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't totally uncommon. I mean, like one big thing is just the stress factor, right? Of just giving yourself some time off, and you just are recovering, and things just it's like the vacation effect, Dan. You kind of we've talked about that
retirement.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yep. Go ahead.
My friend John Powell and I, the late great John, he died. It's been 3 years now. Geez. We used to talk about how we used to often, he retired after any frustrating season, he would retire. And he'd always come back and pick up the discus, 9 months into his retirement, go
Mm.
meet up with some friends, and within a day or two be back to 95% of what he had trained years to get to. Stu Toger, the great hammer throwing coach, said the same thing. And that's when both of them and many of us realized that sometimes you improved your qualities by stopping. And of course, in the physiology of strength, my copy's right there. This notice is that sometimes the best thing you can do for your training folks, and this is hard for us who are psychopaths. I no, wait, am I a psychopath or a sociopath? I can't keep it. But those of us who are, addicted to training, taking that wonderful vacation because of a surgery or because of an extended trip, you come back, you look better, you're leaner, and you lift more. I got to tell you, that'll drive you crazy. So how'd you get in such great shape? I stopped training. Now, that's the advice that most people I interact with. Most of my neighbors quit training 30 to 50 years ago, and they're doing your system. So I think you need, okay.
Good. Let's see if we can squeeze in just a little bit more here.
Justin has a funny line. I am old enough to be impressed about how good protein stuff tastes now. God, that is so true.
They have improved, and I'm just for me, I'm a basics guy. I sometimes even just get the unsweetened, whey isolate, and just mix in the fruits and the stuff like that. Maybe a little bit of honey here or there, and it's not like it's not to die for, but it's got a nice. If you get used to those subtle flavors, it's certainly not. It's not bad.
Yeah. I wrote that just today in answer to a question. When I eat whey, Patrick, I get ravenously hungry very quickly, almost like me eating a candy bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And someone said, honey, as the proud champion of 4 fully functioning beehives, I find anyone who rips on honey to be beaten.
I love
By
honey.
the way, so my bee guy comes in a couple weeks ago. He goes, I got some honey for you. He gives me a bucket. I think I mentioned this. He gives me a bucket of honey. A bucket of honey. You know how many lifetimes it's going to take for me to get through a bucket of honey? It's just
That's a lot of honey.
Mm-hmm. And also, just how many bees spent their entire life, and thank you, my bees in my backyard, for that. Their entire life, gosh, it's so minimal the amount they produce in their whole life working that hard.
Yep. Good. Let's grab this one. This is an interesting one. Mr. Jack says, hey, in regards to pressing the bees, Stan mentioned he has an Olympic weightlifting background that definitely helped. And he wants to know if he should add some Olympic lifts to support his goals. I guess his goal is just heavier kettlebell pressing.
Well, that's kind of what I said at my first RKC cert. I'm not trying to be that guy, but, I've cleaned 182.5 kilos. So for me to press 48 kilos.
Yeah, this is a funny thing that, I don't know why this is surprising to people. Like a power lifter who's like a good power lifter, Olympic lifter, maybe they'll struggle with wind on the snatch test, but the beast is a literal peanut to those guys. You know what I mean? It's just not a very, it's cool, cool among the skinny kettlebell guys pressing the beast, right? But different circles, that is not a very serious weight, right? And that's just, and I don't know why people would get upset when that was pointed out. I think it's a pride thing. But that's just raw facts of the matter, right?
Wait, hold on. Are you saying you can't handle the truth? Okay, thank you very much. That was my Jack Nicholson.
Yep. Yeah, that's funny. I was
You're Tom Cruise. I'm Jack Nicholson.
I know. I like Jack Nicholson, but I realized I haven't seen a lot of his movies that I want to see. Like Chinatown. I've never seen that. My first Jack Nicholson introduction was my favorite movie, probably of all time, since it's so nostalgic, was his Batman one, the Joker Batman.
I thought it was great. Yeah.
I thought it was awesome. Yeah, it's still my favorite Batman. I grew up with it, but anyways.
Yeah, Cuckoo's Nest, if you want your heart broken, it's a great movie.
Yeah, what was Something's Gotta Give too? That was a funny one.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Justin, by the way, thanks for that note on the insulin response. You know, Justin, I'd heard that, and you hear it and you forget about it. But I got to tell you, Justin, I think there's some that might weigh by itself can give you a massive insulin bounce, and maybe that. And I would say I'm susceptible to it because I've been pre-diabetic since 1985 when I got my liver parasite, and that really hurt me. But by the way, I'm not anymore. That my doctor.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he. I think I told you, Dr. Bernetti hugged me in the parking lot because he said he never. God, I sound like Trump. He never seen anybody recover. So, but I have pre-diabetic myself. So
I mean, yeah, you look great, Dan. You look vibrant. So it's lean, hard, good. All right, before we go, Dan, what do you got this week? What are you working on? Any announcements? Anything else? Yep.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll let you know about Dick I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And it's things are great. I'm the member of board of directors for a bunch of stuff, and for whatever reason, this is National Board of Directors Meetings Week. So I got a busy week of board of directing. I get my numbers in. My lifts are good. Getting my steps in every day without any issues. It was interesting. I double checked just as I sat down. This morning already, just wandering around the house, I'm already at 1,000 steps. Now, one thing, so I know a lot of our listeners. Can I go real quick? 10 seconds?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So one of the things I've been doing, I put my, I think I've told you this before, but I put my pedometer in my pocket, and then I put on my electric toothbrush, and I make figure eights. I make figure eights in my living room over here, and I'm getting 250 to 300 steps just brushing my teeth. And okay, so for some Americans, brushing your teeth is something you should do every day. So for some of you, if you're getting 250, per brush, that, if you brush your teeth twice a day, that's 500. And if you brush 3, my dentist recommends flossing twice a day, brushing twice a day. But and I'm just saying that it's kind of fun when you start playing these little games with your fitness, trying to get extra steps in here, trying to get make a better dietary choice there. And if you don't mind me, I think that's the sum of this weekly Tuesday podcast is a lot of it, folks, is just tiny little changes that are really, well, to use the cliche from 5 years ago, force multipliers. It's the little thing here that's big. Yeah.
Big doors swing on little hinges, as sometimes say. So good stuff. Thank you, Dan. As always, thank you, gentle listeners, for the great questions. We will see all of you next week. Bye-bye.